champion, I need some trophies. I can draw the lane, I can shoot the three. I can run 100 yards, I can throw it deep. I ain't choose the gang trophy. I'm a champion, I need some trophies. I can draw the lane, I can shoot the three. I can run 100 yards.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Happy Sunday night to you all, wherever you may be. Welcome to a brand new episode of The Extra Point. I am Lauro Antonio. With me today is Justin Bosman. We're going to get Ben Kirst and Isaiah Leong on here in just a minute. And Justin, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. Agent Skip Bayless, I'm sorry for your team. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so we're about to show him.
Trey Lance
we're
is going to be the future.
We're about to show Isaiah this year. This is his face after the Niners lost to the Rams. Look, Isaiah.
I thought the game was over.
How you doing?
Like,
how are you doing tonight, my friend?
Not well, man. Not well.
I was praying for you, Isaiah.
You know, I'm glad, first of all, that I got to work today, or I had to work today. I was actually kind of reluctant to come into work this morning because I was like, you know, I want to support my team. I want to watch the game. But I'm kind of glad in the end that I had to go to work today because it really helped take my mind off this just really stinging, just heartbreaking, gut-wrenching defeat, man. Like, I don't know, you know, how I would be taking this loss, this just absolute gut-wrenching of a loss, had I not had to work. And working just really took my mind off of it. I haven't really been able to process it for like the last couple of hours ever since it ended because I've been just so busy. But, you know, I'm kind of glad. That, you know, I had to work today. Shout out to Casey King. Congratulations to his Rams on a fantastic win. And they are going to the Super Bowl. Good luck to them. But this is going to hurt for a while for sure.
At least the Georgia Bulldogs won.
And Casey King also says good game, Isaiah, as well. So first, we have a lot to talk about. We have a lot to get off our chest here today for both games. But first, let's start with the AFC Championship game. And before I hand it over to you guys, my thoughts is this. Who would have thought the Cincinnati Bengals would be going to the Super Bowl? I didn't think so because I was thinking that this team needs time. They needed baby steps. I was thinking that this team wouldn't make the playoffs. I thought that they were going to move on from Zach Taylor, go with Joe Brady, but the Bengals got hot at the right time. They ended a lot of droughts, especially winning a playoff game, check. Winning a road playoff game, check. And then they came into Kansas City and got the victory. I was kind of thinking wait till next season to see the Cincinnati Bengals take off and compete. Because I was thinking that Burrow was going to be like one of the top three quarterbacks in the AFC with Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes. But the Bengals proved us wrong. My only concerns with the Bengals were defense, offensive line. Those were my only concerns about why the Cincinnati Bengals weren't going to make the Super Bowl, because their offensive line is kind of bad, and they have a test against the Rams defensive line, which I think they're going to be bounced around and trounced around here. But at the same time, it was the special teams and the offense for the Cincinnati Bengals that won them. And I think that was the reason why they've had a really successful Cinderella story, was because of those two areas on the team. I feel like that they're like a couple of defensive pieces away from being a complete team in the NFL. Those are some of my thoughts here, and I had to get that off my chest because heading into this season, I had the Bengals like third or fourth in the AFC North because I had Cleveland and Baltimore going toe-to-toe, but that certainly did not happen. And I think that Baltimore and Cleveland should be watching the Bengals right now and saying, how could we challenge them for the AFC North crown next year? Is that even possible? It could be possible if Baker Mayfield stays healthy and if the Ravens stay healthy, and Pittsburgh is kind of in a rebuild mode heading into next year. But that's another subject for another day. Isaiah, if you could agree, you might agree with me with what I said about the Cincinnati Bengals here, but after the Raiders game, I was not sure if they could pull it off in Tennessee. And then I was kind of thinking that they would just come into Kansas City and lose because I had the Bengals in my playoff bracket just making it all the way to the AFC title game because I had them beating Las Vegas, beating Tennessee, and then losing to Kansas City and getting their hearts broken and build off from this year heading into next season. That was kind of my take on the Cincinnati Bengals. What is your takeaways on the Bengals Cinderella story run? I would have gone with the Bengals if the Chiefs were eliminated by the Buffalo Bills last week.
My thoughts on the Bengals win is that I owe Joe Burrow a big apology. Because I probably have been one of the biggest Joe Burrow doubters out there. I doubted him when he was at LSU, doubted him when he was coming into the draft, doubted him after his first couple seasons. But every step of the way, I mean, this guy has proven me wrong, and he's truly an elite quarterback and one of the best young quarterbacks in the NFL. And I got to say that, I was wrong about Joe Burrow. I was wrong about Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow is an amazing, exceptional quarterback. The Bengals, I'm kind of like you, Loro. I thought that Zach Taylor was going to get fired this season. I thought that the Bengals were going to have a terrible season, and then they were going to move on to Joe Brady to be their head coach. But, I mean, Zach Taylor has proved everybody wrong. Joe Burrow has proved myself and a lot of doubters wrong. And, the Bengals, they're definitely one of the best Cinderella stories that we've seen in the NFL in a very, very long time. And when you look at the Cincinnati Bengals in this football game, I was like you, Loro, and I think, Justin, you probably would agree as well, that when they went down 21-0 at the end of the half, I was like, yeah, it's over, man. It is over. It is done. But I think what was really the turning point of the game was Patrick Mahomes fired a pass to Tyreek Hill, and he looked like he was going in the end zone for another touchdown. And what happened was the Bengals, I believe it was Eli Apple, he saved the Bengals season right there. Because if he gets into the end zone right there, you're looking at 28-0 deficit at halftime. And the Chiefs get the ball to start the second half. That's probably all she wrote there for the Cincinnati Bengals. But the Bengals kept Tyreek Hill out of the end zone. That was like a big, big turning point there because after that, in the second half, the Bengals defense, I don't know what defensive coordinator Lou Anarumo said to them at halftime, but what he said to them was truly inspirational because they played their butts off in the second half. I mean, they got after Mahomes. Their secondary tightened up. Their linebackers tightened up. It was just a whole new Bengals defense that I just did not anticipate from the Cincinnati Bengals in the second half. And it was that play, that Tyreek Hill last play of the game, or last play of the half, that was a turning point of that game. And the Bengals, they just came out, they stuffed the Chiefs possession after possession after possession. And Joe Burrow and the Bengals offense, they woke up. Credit to Zach Taylor. They made adjustment after adjustment after adjustment. And Andy Reid and the Chiefs, they had no answer for this rejuvenated Bengals defense in the second half. And I don't know what happened to the Chiefs. Mahomes looked like a shell of himself in the second half. That interception that he threw, I don't know what he was doing there. It looked like he was trying to force the ball. I don't know why you're trying to force the ball there. Why don't you just chuck it away if there's no pressure or if there's pressure coming your way? And that's something that Patrick Mahomes has been really bad at. When the pressure comes, he tends to make a lot of stupid decisions and he tends to panic. So, credit to the Bengals. Joe Burrow definitely proved me wrong. I'm so happy that he's going to the Super Bowl. Zach Taylor, happy for him as well. Happy for Mike Brown, the embattled owner of the Cincinnati Bengals. But like you, Loro, I'm not really optimistic about the Bengals going into the Super Bowl because I know we'll talk about that next week. But I'm not really optimistic because their offensive line played terrible the last couple of playoff games, and the Rams are one of the best defensive lines in the NFL. So we'll talk about that later on. But as far as this game is concerned, this game was all about the Bengals rising up to the challenge in the second half and the Kansas City Chiefs choking badly in the second half. It was a flat-out choke by Kansas City. It seemed like that they thought that they booked their ticket to the Super Bowl at halftime. They did not come out ready. They did not come out prepared in the second half. They did not come out inspired in the second half. They came out a far different team in the second half, and that's why now you see that the Chiefs' run of being the AFC Kings are done, and the Cincinnati Bengals are your AFC champions.
Oh, absolutely. Another thing I want to add here, Isaiah, before I go to Justin here, is that Andy Reid, he's kind of like Mike McCarthy in a way, is that he's not really good at clock management. And that play that by Tyreek Hill to end the first half, that to me, I was like, is that going to be a game changer for the Bengals, or would that hurt Andy Reid? And in the end, it hurt Andy Reid.
Yeah, Loro, it hurt Andy Reid there because Andy Reid always does this. I remember in the game, like there was you just do 2 plays right there. 1 play at least. Get a field goal at the end of the halftime. Just get a field goal at the end of halftime.
Yeah, I would have gotten a field goal right there. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I would have
That's
gotten
bad
a field goal there.
Yeah.
And I would have gone for the field goal if I were Andy Reid. Andy Reid's a great coach. His clock management skills are not that good in the playoffs.
Yeah, he's terrible at the clock management.
And what was your thoughts on the game overall, Justin? But we have to go on to some comments here. So Casey King also says, as for the Bengals, boy, I didn't even think they could pull it off today. And props to them on their comeback. I thought it was over for them. They were down 21-3. And Casey, I was kind of like Kansas City was going to just keep adding more points. I was doing the game on Colorcast, and I said the key for the Chiefs in the second half was keep pounding the scoreboard. That's what they had to do, but obviously they did it, and the Bengals defense made big-time adjustments in the second half, and he said these playoffs have been great and exciting. Go ahead, Justin. The floor is yours with your thoughts on this game.
So this was about coaching and execution this game down the stretch. And Andy Reid didn't do a good job coaching in this game. He has a lot of blame. I blame a little bit of I think Patrick Mahomes also was seeing a little bit of ghosts in the pressure and the blitz and stuff like that. And he has the media hype around him. This was one of his biggest games of his career, and I didn't think he lived up to the hype today.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, I think he didn't even live up to the hype today, and I was saying my points were about why I didn't even have the Bengals going this far because my only concerns with the Bengals is their offensive line and their special teams. I think addressing the offensive line is going to be a priority for the Cincinnati Bengals in the offseason.
And the Chiefs' offensive line was having so much trouble in the second half. Like, it was like 28-3 all over again, like in the Super Bowl, like Kyle Shanahan. But this time it was like Andy Reid all over again. Just like in the Super Bowl, kind of, in the second half against Patrick Mahomes, against Brady. This time it was Joe Burrow's team. Joe Burrow has beaten Patrick Mahomes 2 times this year. I mean, in the NFL season, yeah. He's beaten Patrick Mahomes 2 times. So that means he's better than Patrick Mahomes as a QB for some reason. And if he wins a Super Bowl, he'll be the greatest quarterback in this era of young quarterbacks.
Oh, you're absolutely right.
And the kicker, I love that kicker. That kicker is going to be a legend. That kicker for the Bengals. I love that he has attitude, that kicker for the Bengals. McPherson, was it? Is that his name?
Yes, it's Evan McPherson.
Yeah. He is one of the legends. I think he's going to be better than Justin Tucker. He has like an edge to him, like something about him. I think he's going to be like an Adam Vinatieri type, like in the playoffs, like clutch kicks after clutch kicks. Because I was seeing one of his kicks, I thought it was going to be like a Billy Cundiff kick, just like in the Patriots 2012. And I thought that was going to be like a missed kick, just like the Billy Cundiff, but he made it for some reason, and then they made it to the Super Bowl. But that defense, that was an overthrow by Patrick Mahomes. He overthrew a lot of receivers, and the defense put the pressure on, and that's what you have to do against Mahomes. You always have to put pressure on him, and he always scrambles around, and the receivers don't really and the coverage was there all game long in the second half.
Absolutely. We want to bring in Ben Kearse to the show. Ben, welcome, and give us your thoughts on the AFC Championship game.
Yeah, well, good evening, guys. Hope you're doing well. Thanks for Casey that has joined in. I'd like to congratulate Casey on his Los Angeles Rams. But yeah, this was a good weekend in football. It probably wasn't as crazy as last week, but it was two really good games. The Bengals-Chiefs game came right down the wire. I really thought that the Chiefs were really going to pull away with the way everything was kind of going in the first half. First three drives, the Chiefs made it extremely look really easy. The Bengals really had no answer, just playing soft coverage defensively, which is not a good recipe for success against an offense like the Chiefs with all the weapons they have. Patrick Mahomes was absolutely in the groove of his own in this game. So you saw the first half and you're thinking to yourself, well, the Chiefs are going to really have this game from the start to finish. And then at halftime, the biggest really turning point, the Bengals really just needed a little bit of momentum anyway. And the biggest turning point, I think, was right before the half. They didn't even take a field goal. Mahomes and company tried to get a little bit greedy when they were at the 5-yard line. And he tried to throw a pass to Tyreek Hill and tried to beat Eli Apple on the outside. And things didn't work out. Eli Apple made a huge tackle. And I'm thinking to myself, well, I don't know how much is really going to change, but it could be, kind of be within striking distance, see what happens. And it turned out to be a huge point in the game, because obviously things could have obviously changed from there. So in the second half, I don't know how much you really guys have kind of talked about the second half or the game in general, but in my regards, the second half was all just switched. Complete 180 of the way Patrick Mahomes really played, which I did not expect whatsoever, especially with the way the defense of the Bengals did. But, as I was watching the game with my dad and my brother, I said that the Bengals just have to make some adjustments defensively and play a little more man press and try to see if they can just get some pressure on Mahomes. Mahomes is very electric, with pressure with him. And he was saying, I was watching his presser after the game, and he's just saying essentially that, they were expecting the same stuff they saw in the first half looks. They just weren't executing to what, they're capable of. So I think Cincy did a really good job in terms of getting to his head a little bit. They got the interception and, Jamar Chase had a touchdown with a 2-point conversion. The Bengals kind of really started to feel themselves. Came down to obviously McPherson, who's been absolute money this whole postseason, coming out with some big kicks. Just the tide really just completely switched in this game. And, I was myself pouring for the Bengals. I don't know if you guys are aware, but, if I was not a Patriot fan, and I've told my friends in this before, I have my dad has good buddies from Cincy. They've been kind of the neck of the woods. I've been
And Joe Burrow's Ohio State.
Yeah, so I've been pulling for the Bengals for a long time in terms of doing well with their team, and they've just been garbage. I mean, top to bottom, year by year, they just never been within it. I'm just like, oh, how the Bengals? Oh, probably
they're just like the Washington Generals.
But I'm like thinking to myself, like, I couldn't even help but say, wow, this is just to go into Arrowhead to be the complete underdogs, and essentially come down 21-3 against defending champs a couple of years ago, and just arguably the new face of the AFC with the team, and to do that, I mean, just says it all. They could really compete with anybody really now. I think it comes to show. They have really come a long way facing adversity, and actually after the game, Joe Burrow was saying that they were a second half team, the whole season, which I thought was very interesting. And it just turned out to be that they play their best football when it needed to be most, and they deserved it. They 100% deserved it. There was nothing about them like, wow, the Cincinnati Bengals shouldn't have won that game. The Chiefs really just choked it. I mean, if I look at from the Bengals side, congrats. I'm very happy for them. Well deserved. They've deserved for the long time. But if you're a Kansas City Chiefs fan, you must be absolutely sick. I mean, sick to your stomach. You're up 21-3. You have everything but momentum. Mahomes is absolutely riding your team. And I'm a person that likes Mahomes a lot. As a good quarterback, he's going to be arguably the best quarterback in the future of the face and stuff. But he completely choked, man. I mean, he sold a lot of the game. He got into his head.
Yeah.
Defensively, the Bengals were playing really good coverages, and just everything just kind of just went boom. It just kind of just fell on his face, and it's not like he was getting sacked a whole lot until the end, and having him go, spinning in circles and spinning in circles. It gets to a point on your body in terms of it can get you so far with that type of stuff. I was so great at season stuff like that, and I think that the pick by the big guy was huge for the Bengals. That was a big turning point. And obviously, the first half was a turning point at the end. But yeah, crazy game. And now I just hope that the Bengals can finish the job against the Rams. But this was a game I think that Cincinnati and their fan base will for sure never forget. And for the Chiefs and stuff, they will be back. This is obviously one that'll be tough to swallow. I understand that they're paying from a Patriot fan standpoint. Being a lot of games where we've been heavily favoring a lot of them. But, it's definitely the underdog Cinderella story, has finally made its wish in terms of getting to the final goal. Now, essentially, we'll see how they do.
All right, absolutely. So, basically, we'll have a lot to talk about the Bengals next Sunday when we preview the Super Bowl and when we make our picks next Sunday. So, we'll have our picks ready to go next Sunday, folks. So let's talk about our recap from the NFC Championship game as the San Francisco 49ers were in a situation that they were up 17-3, and they could have had this game in the bag, and they would have played Cincy in the Super Bowl. But at the same time, Kyle Shanahan had another choking moment in the playoffs. But you know what? Jimmy Garoppolo is a good quarterback, but he's not a quarterback that's going to lead you to a Super Bowl title. I think that the Niners found Trey Lance as their guy going forward in the long run. And I think the Trey Lance era is about to begin next year. So
one more thing, Lauro. By the way, I want to just kind of want to build off my thought about the last game quickly. Keep your thought, Lauro. I'm sorry I cut you off there. I do really apologize. The second half of that Chiefs game, I don't know if you guys realize. Remember Mahomes, kind of, in that shaky part early on in the season when everybody thought they were done. A lot of that stuff started to come back in the second half of the game, which is weird because he just really
he's a choker.
Time is just absolutely amazing. So I just want to get that out there because it was really, really interesting to kind of see the way at the end. Laura, go ahead. Sorry to cut you off.
So what I meant to say is that the Rams, however, it was the third time was the charm for the Rams to beat the San Francisco 49ers. The 49ers have owned the LA Rams in the regular season since 2019. Kyle Shanahan has had the number of Sean McVay, but tonight it was not Shanahan's night. It was more of McVay's night. And the Rams are showing that they are a Super Bowl team with the moves that they made and the investments that they made onto the roster and given up a lot of draft capital for the roster that they have now. And I think they're one step closer to that big prize. And I think that the Rams can finally win their first Super Bowl title in years, which it could happen, but we'll see. Isaiah, I'm going to go to you on this one. I know that you have a lot of thoughts on this game, and for the Niners, even though they lost, you have to be encouraged that the future is bright with Trey Lance at quarterback, which I think that next year you guys will be even better with Trey Lance. And as for Jimmy Garoppolo, I think his time in San Francisco is done. I'll tell you that. But for the Rams, you know they were the better team, and you know that they're hungry for that prize.
Well, like I said in the beginning, this was one of the most gut wrenching, heartbreaking losses that I've ever experienced in my lifetime. Watching the Niners, just because we had so many opportunities to just win this game. I mean, the Rams nearly handed this game to us on a silver platter, and it's just sickening that we just couldn't capitalize on those opportunities when we literally, especially when we had that interception and Tart has it right in his hands. There's nobody next to him or in front of him, and he has it right in his hands. He's about to pull it down, and he somehow, some way drops it as he's coming down with the football. Laurel, I gotta disagree with you. I don't think a lot of the blame has got to be on Kyle Shanahan. I think Shanahan coached a really good game. He put the team in position to succeed. I think when you look at this game, I don't think it's on the refs. I don't think it's on Shanahan. I don't think, I wouldn't say it's really on the defense. I think that the reason why the Niners lost this football game was primarily because of Jaquiski Tartt missing that interception. I mean, you make that interception. It's a play that you probably practice all day of the week and throughout your entire career. It's a play that I guarantee you, if you give Jaquiski Tartt 100 attempts, he probably makes 99 of them, and it just simply happened to be that one time he misses it, happens to be on the biggest stage of football. And if you make that play, I was looking at the running lanes that Jaquiski Tartt had. Who knows? He might have had a pick six there. It was 17-14. He gets the interception. If not a pick six, he probably is running back to at least the Rams or the Rams 40-yard line. So that was just a big missed opportunity. And I was, watching that I was watching it on my lunch break, and I saw that play live, and I just said after that the Niners lost that game because that was just a huge momentum swing for the Rams. And the Rams, if that's like an interception that's probably going to haunt Tartt. It's going to haunt the Niners for the rest of history, just because we were just so close. If we get it, who knows what happens there. And then I think you got to blame the offensive line. I mean, this offensive line, I know that they were protecting Garoppolo really well for majority of the game, but when it mattered the most, in the end, the final two possessions, they just, for some reason, just couldn't block Aaron Donald. They couldn't block Leonard Floyd like they've been doing the entire game. And then, some of the blame has also got to be on Jimmy, because especially that first drive of the game, he had Kittle streaking across the middle. If he hits Kittle there, Kittle's going to probably go for another 20 yards, and you're setting yourself up in good position to score a touchdown or at least kick a field goal and have a really great start to this game after, the Rams went 3 and out. And then there was also a couple passes or couple instances where Jimmy Garoppolo had wide open receivers and he didn't either look their way or he missed them. Like there was one, I believe, to Mitchell where there was a complete bust, and for some reason it was to Ayuk. Ayuk was wide open down the middle. Garoppolo doesn't see him. Instead, checks it down to Mitchell. They get a 10-yard gain, but if he sees Ayuk, that's like a home run ball right there. That's probably a 50-yard gain or a touchdown right there. So just a lot of missed opportunities, a lot of opportunities where we had a chance to win this football game. The Rams, they capitalized on their opportunities. The Niners, they didn't capitalize on their opportunities. And these big games, it comes down to this. You cannot, when you're handing some of these opportunities, the team that capitalizes on it, they end up winning these type of football games. So it just came down to the Niners just not being able to capitalize on opportunities. And man, that pick of Jaquiski Tartt, that missed interception or that dropped interception is really, really going to haunt the 49ers probably for the rest of history. And it's going to make folks going back and saying, like, what if Jaquiski Tartt made that interception? What if he caught the football? What would have changed? But, I mean, that's what happens in these championship games.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, I think that I think Casey King has a question for you, Isaiah, before we get pass it along to our next panel here. So his question for you, Isaiah, is heard a rumor that they may make a run for Aaron Rodgers on talk radio and say they want a vet for a couple years and let Trey develop. I think Casey is Trey Lance's time heading into next year. What about you, Isaiah?
Well, here's the thing. If Aaron Rodgers specifically tells Green Bay, I want to go to San Francisco, you have to make that move because, I like Trey Lance. I think that he has a bright future in this league, but this Niners team is built to win now. You're going to have Deebo Samuel up for a big time extension in the coming weeks, or I think in the offseason, he'll probably get a big time extension. Then you're also going to have to pay Nick Bosa as well. You have like a very short window to win with this core of guys that you have with Kittle, with Samuel, with Mitchell, with Nick Bosa and Armstead as well before the window is about to close. So if Aaron Rodgers wants to come to your team, I think you got to do it since Aaron Rodgers would give you like 2 to 3 years to win it. And this game also showed that the 49ers, the difference between the Niners and the Rams is that the Rams have Matthew Stafford and the 49ers have Jimmy Garoppolo. And Jimmy Garoppolo is just not on Matthew Stafford's level of play right now. And if the Niners had an elite quarterback, if they had one of the top quarterbacks in the NFL, I think San Francisco would probably dominate the NFC for years to come with that core of guys that they have right now. So if you can bring in Aaron Rodgers, I think you definitely have to at least look into it and if not pull the trigger since you just have like 2 or 3 years with this current group to win it right now. But that's only if Aaron Rodgers specifically says to Green Bay, it's San Francisco or I'm retiring. But if Aaron Rodgers is saying like he has like a whole list of teams, I don't want the Niners to go into a whole bidding war for Aaron Rodgers just because I think that I think it'll be more smarter to let Trey Lance be the starter if you have instead of getting into a bidding war for Rodgers. But if Rodgers is saying like specifically it's San Francisco or it's nothing, then I think you got to make the move.
There's actually a report I just sent you, Isaiah, that Aaron Rodgers actually spent extra time with the Packers staff discussing future following a playoff exit. It looks like the Packers are very optimistic that he will be back in Green Bay next year. Isaiah, do you have any thoughts on that article that I just sent you?
My thoughts on it is I don't know what to trust anymore because it seems like there's so many twists and turns in this saga. It's like every week or every month we have some stuff come out that's one way or the other. And I don't think we will know for sure what's going to happen and nothing's going to be concrete and be decided until free agency. I think right now it's just like all speculation as to what.
Yeah, I don't trust Adam Schefter.
I think it's just like speculation at this point. I think we will know what Aaron wants to do, and he said it on the Pat McAfee show that we will know, and he'll make a decision before free agency begins.
All right, I'm going to go to Ben on this one too. Then Justin, what was your takeaway on the NFC Championship game between the Rams and the Niners? But obviously, the Rams were the better team today.
Yeah, so first of all, Isaiah, I'd like to congratulate your team on a great, great season. I did tell you early on this season when things looked in doubt, I said, listen, man, give it some time, see what happens. And you guys with Ayuk and Kittle, being hurt and stuff, a lot of people kind of doubted you guys. And you guys not only got the NFC Championship game, but I think that you guys have something going with your culture-wise. The things that are setting your back, as much as I love my guy Jimmy G, he's just not it, right? We've seen it before. He's a good game manager, but he's not going to get you over to the certain type of where he wants to be moving forward. It actually broke my heart because I actually just read something about Jimmy G saying that he was crying during his post-game press conference. So with everything going on, he knows it's time. I wish him, Jimmy, the best of luck. That's obviously was supposed to be apparent to Brady, obviously in New England, and obviously Bill and company loved him. But I think there could be many suitors out there for him, Loro and Isaiah and Justin. I think Houston could be a sleeper team.
New England can be one.
I doubt it would be New England just because we have Mac Jones at this point, but I do think Houston. I do think
The Bears.
Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
Watch out for Tampa Bay. I mean, I would not put it away from Tampa Bay. Maybe to have possibly something with Jimmy Garoppolo. I don't think that would happen or be the number one choice, but yeah, in terms of if Isaiah comes back or not, which he probably will, but his team had a great season. But I just think that the Rams wanted to overcome in terms of their their struggles against the Niners, and it looked like at first the Niners really had them. They were up 17 to was it 3 Laura or 7? It was 17 to 3, right? So
7 or something like that. First 3.
Obviously, Cooper Kupp has been an absolute godsend this year. He's going to be one of the best, if not the best receiver, top 3 in football. Matthew Stafford just always seems to find him. I don't know how he always gets open, but his route running is just impeccable. Reminds me a lot of my favorite guy, Julian Edelman. But Odell Beckham has definitely recreated his career at the Rams. Between Beckham and Von Miller, the Rams definitely got a lot of things going for them. And Sean McVay was able to come up with some big time plays and moments during the portion of the game where things kind of looked a little bit bleak, down 17-3. So I also have to remember, Loro, the 4th and 2 play is in the 4th quarter, I believe.
Yep.
And Shanahan, the conservativeness on that really, really interests me. Now that on Sewin drive was actually the dropped interception. I'm pretty sure that was it by Tart. And I'm sorry to tell you guys that I still can't believe the way that was dropped. That reminded me actually of the Kirk Cousins throw against the Bears, where essentially he's like, "Oh, I'm just going to chuck it up there." And Stafford actually did that, I think, against the Niners early on the regular season. And Stafford obviously has been a great quarterback. I wish him well. I'm really actually happy for him to make a Super Bowl because he went through so many tough years in Detroit, and he's been a really good man and stuff like that. So I'm happy for him. But there's just times, that just like, oh man, he just would make that throw and be like, wow. And I just thought
he's going to do that in the Super Bowl.
Well, I mean, that's why the Super Bowl is going to be so interesting because, like, you just don't know who's going to be the favorite in this one. I mean, presumably it's probably going to be the Rams because they're playing in their home stadium, but crazy things have happened. But Isaiah, I got to tell you, man, great season. Trey Lance, for sure, I think, is the future. Casey, in terms of the Aaron Rodgers situation, I do think there is a little bit of stuff there. He's from the Bay Area. That's the only reason why I can see it. But I do agree with you, Isaiah. I think the window of the Super Bowl is going to be closing pretty shortly for the Niners. And the Niners only need to win within the next 1 to 2, 3 years. And also, too, what happens to Russell Wilson's future. If he sticks around, V leaves, then I think the Niners really kind of are the favorite. They definitely play in a really tough division. But you should keep your head high, man. I mean, they had a fantastic year. Just came up a bit short. And got to tip your hats to the Rams because the Rams definitely at the end were able to find a way to pull it out. So it happens. I've gone through a bunch of division games and losses. Obviously, you just have to move on and fight back for next year. Things happen. So it was a good game regardless. And Casey, like I said before, congrats, man. You guys definitely deserve it. And we'll see if there could be a consecutive Super Bowl champion winner in their own stadium, which I picked yesterday for that to happen. And was have the Rams in it. So,
all right. So, anyways, folks, with that being said, here now we'll talk about our the Pro Bowl. Let's preview the Pro Bowl as the AFC will go up to the NFC next week.
Mike
Vrabel and Matt LaFleur are going to be the head coaches of the Pro Bowl. And let me go first with my
Mac Jones MVP.
We're gonna make our picks here, folks. So
Mac Jones MVP.
Let me go first with. Let me predict who's going to win next week's Pro Bowl. And I'm going to pick the AFC team to win. And my MVP for the Pro Bowl will be both on offense and defense. I think it's going to be Mac Jones on offense. And let me take a look at who I think is going to be who's who's going to be the defensive MVP in the Pro Bowl for the AFC side here. Give me just a minute here.
The
So
AFC.
we'll take. So, anyways, my defensive MVP will be someone from the AFC. So I don't have the Pro Bowl rosters here. So
Yeah.
bear with me here. So bear with me here. So my defensive MVP will be I'm going to say Max Crosby of the Raiders for the Pro Bowl. So again, my prediction will be the AFC winning by a final of 45-42. Mac Jones will get an opportunity. Will get to play in this game. He's my offensive MVP, and my defensive MVP will be Max Crosby. And Isaiah, let me go to you on this one. Who do you like in the Pro Bowl? Who's your offensive and defensive MVP in the game next week?
Well, here's the thing. I typically don't even watch the Pro Bowl, so I'm trying to figure out like the rosters for both of these two teams right now, since I'm like, I don't even know who's on the team. So, I'm just gonna make a random prediction. I'm gonna go with the NFC winning. I'll say probably like 48-45 because I don't think any of these two squads are going to play defense. It's just going to be an offensive type of a game. And, I don't really see a lot of players going in there, like putting their bodies on the line, trying to make, big hits and great tackles and stuff like that. So give me the NFC winning 48-45. And if I have to pick an MVP, give me. Is Dak Prescott a quarterback in the Pro Bowl?
No, you got Aaron Rodgers, you got Tom Brady, and you got Kyler Murray on offense. And then on defense, you got Nick Bosa, Brian Burns, and Cameron Jordan.
So this will be Tom Brady's last game?
It might be. Who knows?
Oh, I got a hot take instead. When I get to my prediction. So.
I'll go with Kyler Murray, and I'll go defensive player. Oh shit!
You mean your defensive MVP? So you lost Isaiah. So Ben, who is your pick to win the Pro Bowl, and who's your offensive and defensive MVP?
Well, yeah, like I said, I don't really watch the Pro Bowl. I mean, now with Mac Jones, we can see how many snaps he'll play. Maybe I'll get a little interest in that. But my hot take is, Tom Brady officially hasn't made it officially yet that he'll retire. I think, the fact that he says, I don't play for Pro Bowls, I play for other stuff. I think he's definitely going to troll everybody and officially announce it during the time of the Pro Bowl about his retirement. So things could go different besides the Pro Bowl. I think that would be great and hilarious. But
you mean seeing Tom Brady play in the Pro Bowl, Ben?
No, I want to see Tom Brady say on social media during the Pro Bowl, I go, by the way, guys, I'm retired. And then everything besides the Pro Bowl is just all about the Brady retirement. That would absolutely be amazing. I don't care if I'm going to break down or not. I'd rather have that stuff instead of watching this game. There's nothing about this game that makes it so good.
Oh, do they have the dodgeball thing? Do they still have the dodgeball?
They do the dodgeball. They do the the one hand catch or something. Like the targets they throw and stuff. I don't know.
No, do they have the quarterback competitions? Because Mac Jones might be in it.
I don't know. I think Josh Allen said, "Yeah, I'm not going to be doing this." Backed out. So that just says.
Yeah, Mac Jones is actually replacing Josh Allen.
I think Patrick Mahomes won't. If he got invited, he probably won't go. I don't think he really cares. So
Mac Jones, but he went to the Pro Bowl last time when Tom Brady beat him in the AFC Championship game.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm gonna go with the AFC. I think it's gonna be like 30 to like 20. I don't really care. I mean, it is what it is. I'm used to. So actually, a funny story was. I took this weekend work off because this is about a month ago. I'm thinking to myself, oh, it's Super Bowl week always the first weekend of February, right? And I'm thinking to myself, oh no. That can't be it. It's the Pro Bowl the first weekend of February. How is that possible, man?
The best
Oh my
All-Star
God,
game
that's
of
great.
the whole world.
So yeah, let's get to the Bengals Rams, please, once it gets to next Sunday, because I don't know how much I'm able to take this. Maybe it'll take a little nap. We'll see how it goes.
And Isaiah, we lost. Do you have a defensive MVP that you have here?
I'm gonna go. Just to be a homer, I'm gonna go Nick Bosa. Why not? I'm not even gonna watch the game, honestly. Like I think I have to work that day too, so I don't think
Yes,
I'll be
that's
able
not
to
a
watch.
bad day to work, Isaiah. I'd rather watch planes
Actually-
at your airport.
Yeah, exactly.
It's actually funny we're talking about the Pro Bowl now, and it's not really that good of a game, but I'm going to watch it because Mac Jones is in it, and I want to see what he's going to do next
And he
Sunday.
could
It's gonna be
recruit
a great
people to
game.
come to the Patriots at the Pro Bowl too. He could do a
Yeah,
little
Justin, who do
recruiting
you
there.
who do you like in the game next Sunday?
I like Mac Jones, and Mac Jones is going to throw it to his favorite target, and then he'll come to the Patriots when he keeps on throwing to him. He'll come to the Patriots probably.
Well then,
Like,
okay.
That's how you recruit people.
All right. So, anyways, enough of this Pro Bowl talk. Let's get into
Yes,
some other
thank
topics
you.
here. So, anyways, I mean, we didn't get to talk about this much. So, Ben Roethlisberger is retiring after a long career, and the era of that 04 draft class, which featured Eli Manning, Phillip Rivers, and Ben Roethlisberger, that era is over. But Ben Roethlisberger had a remarkable career with the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I feel like that this is going to be a transition year for the Pittsburgh Steelers next year, and we'll have to talk about what's next for the Steelers here. But if I had to choose, do they go Deshaun Watson? I could see that happening because Najee Harris really wants Deshaun Watson to join the Pittsburgh Steelers if these allegations are resolved. I would want to see that. I think that this could help the Steelers in a way to be a solid contender again to challenge the Bengals. But realistically, will that happen?
Kenny Pickett.
I realistically think that Deshaun Watson is not going to play another down in the NFL again because of all this allegations that he's dealing with sexual harassment, and I don't think anybody's going to want him. I'm just
Kenny
saying
Pickett's
that
the
because
best player in the draft, though.
I'm very harsh on Deshaun Watson. He's a good player, but if those issues are resolved, then I could see him being traded to the Pittsburgh Steelers. That could really help shape up the AFC North. But I think that the AFC North will belong to the Cincinnati Bengals in my books now, from the way I've seen them play. But I think that's what's next for the Steelers. If they don't go Deshaun Watson, I really am high on Desmond Reader at pick 20 for the Pittsburgh Steelers, because I think that the Steelers want a mobile quarterback. I don't think I trust Mason Rudolph or Dwayne Haskins, because I think that Mike Tomlin's going to want a rookie quarterback to beat Mason Rudolph and Dwayne Haskins for the starting job. So that's what's next for the Steelers. I think the Steelers are in a rebuild mode here, and I think they really need to shore up that offensive line this offseason as well. So I'm going to go to Isaiah on this one first here. What's your reaction to Big Ben's retirement, and what's next for the Steelers at quarterback in 2022, heading into next season for Pittsburgh?
For Big Ben's retirement, I wasn't surprised because I thought that this was definitely going to be his last season. He just looked terrible this entire season. So I kind of expected it that he was going to retire. As far as what's going to happen with Pittsburgh, I really don't know. I think that because right now Pittsburgh's not really in a position. I mean, they could draft one of the rookie quarterbacks because they're kind of, the middle of the pack when it comes to the draft. And I don't think these quarterbacks are really going to be that high up there in the draft this year. So if I'm Pittsburgh, I would look at the guy that went to school in your area, Kenny Pickett from Pitt, and I think he could be a great fit for the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's a really refined pocket passer. He's a guy that I think could be the best quarterback of this class, which is not really saying that much because this class is just not really that strong. But if they don't want to go the draft, If I'm Pittsburgh, I would take a look at Jimmy Garoppolo, honestly, because I think you could really get him for not that much. I don't think the Niners would get a first-round pick back for him, and he's a guy that could be a game manager, and it seems like that's what Pittsburgh wants from their quarterbacks, and that is a game manager, a guy that just hands the ball to Najee Harris, a guy that gets the ball to Claypool and all the other weapons that they have at wide receiver and tight end. So I think Garoppolo could be definitely be a good fit for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
He could be, but I think that the Steelers they want to start rebuilding, which I think that's the next thing to do for the Steelers. So, Ben, what's your thoughts on Big Ben's retirement, and what is next for the Steelers at quarterback next season?
Yeah, well, I'd first like to say to Big Ben, obviously he's had some interesting stuff off the field, allegation-wise, but
The motorcycle accident.
no, yeah, but as a player and most of the time a person, like to congratulate Big Ben on a great career, consecutive Super Bowls with one of the best teams in franchise history with the amount of Super Bowls as that's Patriots.
He never did it with Antonio Brown though.
Never did. But I think his most memorable game was against the Seahawks and actually between the Seahawks and Cardinals. The Cardinals was probably his better one, with the
So Antonio Holmes. Yeah.
that was a great one. But his time is coming. His arm is getting very, very cooked. Yeah, well, I mean, the new era is happening now in Pittsburgh, and sorry about that. What's up? So yeah, I think that the Steelers are going to go with a mobile quarterback. I think Mike Tomlin wants something different. He's been used to pocket passing for so long. I think Matt Corral or Kenny Pickett are going to be the two favorite.
Or also, I'm also favoring Desmond Reader. Watch out for that name, Ben.
Reader would be interesting.
And I want to welcome Big B onto the show, and he has an interesting scene right here. I saw him early on the morning tailgate here, and he said, and this is interesting. It's ramming all day and ramming all night. You're thinking about that Rams classic music video, and I watched it so many times, and it is fun.
Yeah. Good games today. I don't know what you guys think, but thanks for having me on.
So tell us what's next for Big Ben. What's your reaction on Big Ben's retirement, and also what's next for the Steelers at quarterback next season?
Well, not shocked that Big Ben retired, but, I mean, he had a good career. I mean, it was fun to watch him. What's next is probably just at home with the family, maybe working some pregame shows down the road, but for the Steelers, full rebuild probably this year, especially at quarterback. I see them drafting Pickett or possibly going out and getting a guy that's a veteran to, see what they can do if it's not a full rebuild. But if it's a full rebuild, it'll be kind of interesting to see what Tomlin does if he sticks around because, I mean, he's been there for quite a few years now. So does he want to go through another rebuild or does he kind of want to walk away semi on top? So it'll be interesting to see what the Pittsburgh situation does.
Absolutely, Ben, Big B. So, anyways, I'm going to go to Justin on this one. What's next for the Steelers at quarterback, and what was your reaction to Big Ben's retirement?
Big Ben's retirement wasn't shocking. I think I could tell during the Chiefs game that was his last game. And for going forward, I can see them going with Kenny Pickett. I think he's the best guy in the draft right now, and he can help rebuild the Steelers franchise. Just go with a rookie right away.
That could definitely happen. You're absolutely right about that. But anyways, let's talk about on the extra point here. Tom Brady has not officially announced
It's fake news, I think.
yet.
It's kind of fake news, probably.
I think he is leaning towards retirement, but it looks like that he is going to retire. I think it's already a foregone conclusion, despite all these mixed reports.
And his last
here.
game's the Pro Bowl.
It might be at the Pro Bowl, Justin. We'll see. So, Ben, I'm going to start with you on this one. What's your reaction to Tom Brady's retirement, And what is next for the Bucks in the post Brady era?
Yeah, well, I know we had that Brady retirement special kind of last night, so obviously kind of don't want to repeat a lot, in terms of what I said, but just kind of, saying it all in terms of just all of his accomplishments and what he brought, from coming from a sixth rounder, all the stuff that he brought for my team for 20 years. Got the chance to see him live and in person, and just the person he's on and off the field, and I think that the retirement stuff is true. I think that they just have to leak it out. Brady's camp was a little bit frustrated that they did it early, and he's actually on vacation right now. So I think that they wanted to kind of wait until he's home and everything like that. But I think that he just essentially is ready for a new change in life, and that's deservedly so for a guy that has won everything that he's had. He's ready for something, and Casey King just said, "Not surprised at Brady retiring. I think Bucks bandwagon fan base will drop." I can't help but laugh at that one, But I don't know. I mean, the Bucks definitely. I think that they should go with a
Kyle
kind of
Trask.
mid-tier quarterback. They still have Godwin, and not. I don't know if Godwin will stay. It depends about Brady if he ended up coming back from the year or not. But I think Godwin will definitely get the bag somewhere else. I think Evans will obviously stick around because he's such a true guy to their team. They got some guys, Levante David around and Chuck Barrett.
They're going to lose Chris Godwin to the Patriots, though.
They might, but I think Chris Godwin's going to want to. I think Chris Godwin's going to want to stay with the Bucks, and I think Kyle Trask will probably be the starting quarterback for the Bucks.
I love Kyle Trask. I love Kyle Trask during the draft. So
I disagree about Godwin with Kyle Trask. I think that Godwin is deservedly a good player at this point, that he wants something more on a veteran perspective. That's why I think that the Aaron Rodgers stuff to Tampa Bay would be very fascinating, because I think that as much as, I don't know. Obviously, when there's smoke, there's fire with the Brady thing. So I think if he leaves, I would not be surprised if they looked at a reunion with Jameis Winston, who's a free agent. He threw 40 touch. I think it was 40 touchdowns maybe a couple years ago. But he's one of the highest in interceptions. So, but I think Jameis Winston could be out there. I think, maybe calling out Kirk Cousins. I mean, I don't think Kirk Cousins will leave, but I think that would be kind of fascinating. What's that?
I hope Cousins leaves. Honestly, I don't think he will. His salary cap's too high unless they renegotiate it.
Yeah, the Bucks definitely are in a predicament. I mean, do they go with the game manager and Jimmy G? I mean, I know Jimmy G will probably be out there, so maybe his name could be floated around. But Kyle Trask, I think Laurel will definitely be the answer there down the road. But I don't think he's ready to kind of make the next step, because he hasn't got a lot of game action in. At least Trey Lance with Isaiah's Niners got some game action in this year, so
they still are playing Gabbert.
Kind of what you can see out of him down the road. But yeah, I mean, obviously, when you move on from the greatest of all time, obviously your quarterback stuff's going to drop off. I would love to see a pitch for like a Russell Wilson type. Just for the fun of it. I just think that'd be a lot of fun.
That's not going to happen.
Who did you mention? Did you say Gronk?
I think it's not going to happen because I think that Russell Wilson's going to remain a Seattle Seahawks.
I know. I just love it for chaos if that happened.
I can see Gronk coming back to the Patriots.
He's not leaving the Seahawks, man. Russell Wilson's not.
I know. Just try to pick your brain, Laura. It's okay.
So, anyways, Big B, what's your thoughts on Brady's retirement? I mean, quick thoughts on the extra point that we're going to talk about.
We talked about it last night, so I'm not going to rehash things, but I do believe Brady's camp is kind of upset that it broke, so it would not shock me if they kind of pulled the wool over our eyes and be like, nope, I'm going to sign here, or sign back with the Bucks, but I really do think Brady wants to retire. I don't see him flip-flopping, but, like Brett Favre did. But, he had a great career. Bucks now, possibly have if they bring people back, they probably got the best spot to be a quarterback in, be it a stud rookie or Kirk Cousins type, Aaron Rodgers type, a veteran that, maybe even Tannehill, as long as you got those weapons. But it'll be interesting. I think, we talked about the Pittsburgh situation and the Bucs to see which way they go. So I think those are going to be, for me at least, two intriguing positions and teams I want to see what they do.
And Isaiah, what's your quick thoughts on Tom Brady's retirement? Because we were talking about this on the Extra Report real quick before we get into some other important topics when it comes to the head coaching carousel and all that.
We talked about this kind of a little bit or a lot last night with the Brady retirement special that we had. I think, like Ben said, it's a foregone conclusion that it's going to happen. I think that it's just that Brady's camp is frustrated with that the news got out. I think Brady wanted to kind of be like LeBron James and just announce it himself, but unfortunately, the decision exactly. But unfortunately, the news got out, and now it's out there. They can deny it all they want, but I think it's headed this way. I think then there's not really going to be a shock factor with that for a lot of folks. But Tom Brady's had an excellent career. I think he had like 22 years, won 7 Super Bowls, one of the best quarterbacks to ever play this game. I'm not going to get into if he's like the GOAT or not. That people can settle that for a different day. But his clutchness. I think that's what really stood out to me about Brady is the fact that, forget the rings, it was the fact that he always came up clutch whenever it mattered the most and whenever his team needed him. Like, if, let's say your team was down 4 and you needed a touchdown to win the football game, Brady would always deliver. So his clutchness and the fact that he always came through just really, really stood out to me. And I wish him nothing but the best. I'm kind of not surprised that he's retiring just because of all the stuff that he said on various podcasts. His own podcast, I think he mentioned something about how he wanted to, about how his wife Giselle has always hurt to see him get hit so much, and how he sacrificed a lot for his family, and how he even said this one point that really made me think that, that Brady is definitely leaning towards retirement, and that was, he said that he's satisfied with his career. And you never hear Tom Brady say that ever, that he's satisfied with his career. He's always he's always talking about the chip on his shoulder and all that stuff. But once he said that, I was like, yeah, I think Brady's definitely going to retire. But happy retirement to him. And as far as where the Bucs go, I think I said a little bit of this last night, that it really depends what the Bucs want to do. There's reports out there now that Bruce Arians might walk away as well. He's 68 years old. He apparently gave his assistant.
Actually, Isaiah, sorry to interrupt. He didn't say he was retiring. He's going to be back next year, from what I looked up.
I heard that too. I agree with Laura. I think that Jake Arians, Bruce's son, saying it was supposed to be true, but
yeah, he's staying.
I think
we'll see though.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Pro Football
But the
Network,
Antonio Brown thing's still going on. He's still suing the team.
Well, Pro Football Network released a report saying that Arians apparently has given every member of his staff permission to interview with whatever job that they want. So that was kind of, that was definitely a head scratcher. But as far as the Bucs, I think you got to go with Kyle Trask. Unless Aaron Rodgers wants to come, though, you might have some cap issues with that, or Russell Wilson. I don't know how you can pull that off, but I think you got to roll with Kyle Trask. I think you have to try to let him see what he does for a year. If he definitely, if he stinks it up, then you move on to a veteran option. But if he plays lights out, then, well, there's your heir apparent to Tom Brady right there.
All right, Justin, what's your quick thoughts on Tom Brady's retirement?
I'm not so sure if he's retired or not, because it's still not decided yet. So I'll wait until the Pro Bowl to see if he's retired or not.
All right, anyways, enough of all the retirement news. Now let's talk about some important news. So the first topic on the coaching carousel we're going to talk about, we're going to head to the Chicago Bears. So The Bears have hired Matt Eberflus as their next head coach. Basically, the Bears went from an offensive-minded head coach now to a defensive-minded head coach. I think that's a really good I think I like the hire. I think Matt Eberflus is going to do a really good job with the Bears. I think hiring Luke Getsy as the offensive coordinator, I think he's going to really help Justin Fields with his upward development. I think that was a good call by Matt Eberflus to hire Luke Getsy as his offensive coordinator. And my thoughts on the Bears hiring Ryan Poles as the GM, I think that's a great choice. He used to play for the Bears, and Ryan Pace was all but a joke for the Bears. He wasn't meant to be a GM for the Bears.
Matt
but
Nagy.
I think that
Yeah.
And I also think that Ryan Poles is going to be even better than Ryan Pace. I think he used to play for the Bears, knowing what this organization's all about. And I think it's a good first step for the Chicago Bears in where they want to go as a championship team. So that's kind of my thoughts on the Chicago Bears here. So, Isaiah, I'm going to start with you on this one. What is your thoughts on the Bears hiring Ryan Poles as their general manager and Matt Eberflus as their head coach?
I don't like the move. I think that what the Bears should have done is I thought they should have went offense with this hire, since you have a young quarterback who needs development. And I think that if you have a defensive coach, I mean, it's good and stuff, but Luke Getsy, first-time coordinator, first-time calling plays. We don't know how he's going to do developing a young quarterback. He's never had to do it in his career, so that's another decision that kind of just makes you go like, what are the Bears doing? But if I was the Bears, I would have honestly gone with, Jim Caldwell, or gone with, Kellen Moore. I think Kellen Moore is this, next young, great coach in the NFL. And I think he's done a really good job, with Dak Prescott and developing that high-powered offense. He was a quarterback before. He knows how to work with young quarterbacks. I thought the Bears should have went there, because I thought that, the Bears, you definitely need a guy to help develop Justin Fields. I don't think that Eberflus defensively, going defense, was the right hire for the Bears.
It might be the right hire, because I think that going to the defensive-minded head coach could work. But we'll see. I like Matt Eberflus, though. He did a great job in Indianapolis. He helped develop Darius Leonard, be one of the top linebackers in the league here. Anyways, with that being said here, I think it could prove to be a good hire after all. So Big B, you are so familiar with the NFC North. What's your thoughts on Ryan Poles and Matt Eberflus taking over the Chicago Bears, replacing Matt Nagy and Ryan Pace?
Well, Poles was actually a finalist for the Vikings job. He was supposed to interview Thursday or Wednesday, the day before he got hired with the Bears. So both teams saw something in Poles. So his ties to Chicago might not be strong. I think he only played a handful of games. I don't think he was there that long. But, he's kind of supposedly he's got that old school mentality with them. So we'll see what that brings out on him. With the coach hiring, wasn't Nagy, and I could be wrong, wasn't Nagy a defensive-minded coach too, or was he offense?
Matt Nagy's offensive-minded, but he was not a good play caller.
No. I agree with that. I thought, for some reason, Nagy was a defensive-sided guy.
Eberflus is defensive.
Yeah. I thought Nagy was too. But anyways, Bears have always been known for their defense. Even when they've had bad defenses, you're always scared to face that defense. So he's just bringing in, hopefully, the Bears mentality of a strong defense will win you games. And hopefully he gets a good offensive-sided guy that could help and learn Fields and their offense. Hopefully they get pieces together that way. Bears could be a team to be reckoned with, with who knows what's going to happen in Green Bay, Minnesota. I mean, the Lions are the Lions, so, we'll see which way they go there.
And Justin, what are your thoughts on Eberflus as the Bears head coach and Ryan Poles as the GM?
I think it's a big uptick for the Bears organization. They will start from the way up because I think Justin Fields in year 2 with this coach could do things. And I can see him making the playoffs with this coach.
Ooh, wow.
Oh, that's a bold take right there. I mean, I think Matt Eberflus the Frank Reich tree is growing. And I think
Yeah.
Matt Eberflus, I think he's going to do a great job. And I'm really
he is.
confident that I'm confident
Justin,
that
that
he can do big things.
Justin, that's a bold statement, but that's not the boldest statement I've heard all day today. And we won't go back to morning tailgate, but that's a bold statement. But that NFC North has always been a battle between at least the 3 teams. So
it depends on if Aaron Rodgers leaves or not.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think he leaves, from what I heard.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's get to Denver. So Nathaniel Hackett is now the Denver Broncos head coach. And does that mean Aaron Rodgers will be a Denver Bronco next season? And I'm going to go first because I have a lot to get off on my chest here. My mind, 50% of my mind says kinda because Aaron Rodgers likes Nathaniel Hackett, and half of my mind says no because I think that with Nathaniel Hackett, he could go with Aaron Rodgers, or I could see him drafting his own quarterback because I think that you have an offensive-minded head coach that works with a young quarterback, and that trend has worked in recent years. And I could see Denver going in that route since they're somewhat in rebuild. Like, I don't think they're a team that's in a win now mode. I think they're a team that's going to build from the ground up with Nathaniel Hackett as their next as the head coach. I don't think he will commit to Drew Lock as the starting quarterback. He should keep Teddy Bridgewater around as the backup. And I have Denver drafting Matt Corral. And I think Matt Corral will end up being their starting quarterback come week 1 over Teddy Bridgewater and Andrew Luck because I think Nathaniel Hackett is going to want his own guy. And Casey, I'm going to pull up a comment here that you just put up. He says, one thing that John Elway does not know how to do is to draft a quarterback. And Casey, to reiterate that statement, he is not in charge of that anymore. It's George Payton now that's in charge of drafting and what the roster looks like. John Elway is just the guy that just oversees the football operations for the Denver Broncos. So,
doesn't John Elway still have to okay things? I thought that was what the thing was. He stepped down as GM, but everything still ran through John Elway.
It is still run through John Elway, but George Payton is the one that's going to make those decisions, and Payton has to report to John Elway. I think that's how it works in Denver. So, anyways, with that being said, my final prediction on this situation is I don't think Aaron Rodgers is going to be a Bronco just because.
What about Russ Wilson?
I mean, Justin. I didn't want to be cut off here. I was saying that I think that Nathaniel Hackett, the head coach of the Broncos, I think that he is going to get his own quarterback, and they go from there. So, anyways, that's my final take on it. And I think that Aaron Rodgers is going to remain a Green Bay Packer. And Big B, what do you think of the hire of the Broncos hiring Nathaniel Hackett? And do you think that this means that Aaron Rodgers will be a Bronco next season? For me, it's 50-50, but most of it is a no.
Yeah, I'm with you on the 50-50 part because, I think the hire will be good. I mean, we saw what Packers offense looks like with him running it. Now, do they go get Aaron Rodgers? Aaron Rodgers has already stated that he wants to play with Davante Adams and he wants to play with there's another guy he wanted to play with.
Yeah, actually, Big Brandon, I actually heard something before you go on. I heard that the Packers are expected to franchise tag Davante Adams.
Yep. They're going to franchise tag him. That's the thing. So if I'm Denver and if I believe I'm one quarterback away from making a good run in the playoffs and stuff, then I do what the Rams did and give what I can to get Rodgers or Wilson or somebody like that.
I don't think
but if
Russell
I don't-
Wilson is leaving.
No, I'm not saying Russell Wilson is leaving, but I just think if you think you're one quarterback away, you target those guys and you go get you go give them what they want. If you think that's your missing piece. With that being said, I don't know if the Broncos are one quarterback away. They've had a track record of not drafting decent quarterbacks. And then could Hackett possibly he brings Love with them. If he's highly on Love, maybe he pulls a Mike Holmgren and he brings Love with them like Holmgren did with Matt Flynn in Seattle for a year. Yeah, it didn't work out, but or Holmgren.
He could pull a Matt Hasselbeck.
I mean, Holmgren, I think, also brought Favre into Green Bay, I think it was. So, I mean, we'll see. I mean, I don't think the Broncos are a quarterback away, but if they make a play for Rodgers, then they feel they're a quarterback away.
I don't think they are at the end of the day because I think that they're going to draft a rookie quarterback in Matt Corral, or they might go Jordan Love. We'll see. I mean, it's definitely going to be telling here. So, Justin, here, what are your thoughts on Nathaniel Hackett being the next head coach? And does this mean that Aaron Rodgers will be a Bronco? My answer is 50-50, but it's a no.
I'd say we'll have to see on that in free agency because free agency is different. And I would say it's a good hire. And there's a lot of work to do in the Broncos because that division is hard to win. You have the Chargers, you have the Raiders now with a new coach, and you have Justin Herbert and Patrick Mahomes you have to deal with. Then you have to deal with Derek Carr in that division. So you have to get a quarterback for sure in the draft or in free agency.
You're totally right about that. But anyways, now that being said here, let's talk about our reaction to Sean Payton's retirement. This is a quick topic here. So, Sean Payton, I think he's going to step down for good. He might. I wouldn't be shocked if he wanted to go back to coaching. But I feel like that he's done with coaching, in my opinion. I think he wants to pursue his next career in media. So that's kind of my thing here. And who I think should be the next head coach of the Saints. One name to throw out there is Brian Flores, maybe D'Amico Ryans in San Francisco, or maybe Kellen Moore or Mike McDaniel. But we'll talk about Mike McDaniel on the show in just a minute because he actually has an interview with the Miami Dolphins tomorrow. The Dolphins are deciding between Mike McDaniel and Kellen Moore. And Big B, what is your reaction to Sean Payton's retirement? And and if you have to choose one person to replace Sean Payton, it could be anybody. Who do you think should be the next head coach of the New Orleans Saints?
Payton stepping down, kind of a shocker. But looking at reports and looking at numbers, they're well over the cap. So to rebuild, you're going to have to unload stuff. So, Payton probably didn't want to deal with that. I think he'll probably go into media, replace Aikman. And then possibly, if the team is right and he feels a good fit, I could see him coaching again to replace Sean and with the Saints. Flores is a guy I wanted in Minnesota, but it sounds like Vikings are going to go a different way. But also, the one thing that scares me about Flores is he wants Watson as his quarterback. And with the pending trial and stuff, I would stay away from that situation until we hear more. So I think Flores would fit there, but right now, the ball's open. It's only been a few days since Payton stepped down, so who knows what the Saints are thinking right now until we see some reports.
All right. So, Justin, what's your thoughts on Sean Payton's retirement, and who do you think should be the next head coach of the New Orleans Saints?
I remember I told you this before, Laurel. I said it was going to be Peyton Manning, but now I think it's going to be Brian Flores. Because
it might be Brian Flores, but we'll see.
Yeah.
So, anyways, moving on here. the New York Giants have hired Joe Shane as their new GM, and then they brought in Brian Dable as the next head coach. My thoughts on this is I think that this move, hiring Brian Dable, it actually saves Daniel Jones because I think they want to build around Daniel Jones. They want to make sure that he succeeds with the Giants. I still have confidence in Daniel Jones. He was hurt last year. I think this is a make or break year for him in year 4. And if he can, if he has a really good season, then I could really see the Giants committing to him in the long run, which I think I have 100% confidence in. I think Daniel Jones is a really talented player. I mean, he's a good pocket passer. He can run out of the pocket. He and Saquon Barkley are good together. But Daniel Jones has got to stay healthy, and I think that having Joe Shane and Brian Dable there together, it's a good first step for the New York Giants to being a winning team again, and it starts with building around Daniel Jones, and I think that they're going to thrive with Daniel Jones. I think Daniel Jones is going to thrive in Brian Dable's offense. So, Big B, what's your thoughts on the Giants hiring Joe Shane and Brian Dable as their next head coach, and does this actually save Daniel Jones?
Well, the hiring, I mean, you're right, is probably step one in their process. I mean, they've already come out, too, and said that they plan on building around Jones. Now, we talk about Jones and Barkley. One, they got to stay healthy. I mean, you can't build around somebody if they're not there. So if Jones and Barkley can stay healthy, then there's your step 2. You build around your 2 franchise guys. But I got to see them stay healthy first before I think the Giants are making the right move and building around these guys. Because, I mean, I don't think Jones has played a full season at all without being injured. I could be wrong. I don't got the stats in front of me. But, you know, it's just like McCaffrey up in Carolina. You know, yeah, he's the best back, but he can't stay healthy. So how good are you on the injury being on the injury list? So if the Giants can stay healthy, step 1's done. We got a new coach, GM. Step 2 is to stay healthy with Jones and Barkley and everybody else. And then step 3 is to get the plan in place and start winning football games. And, yeah, I think they could be a force to be reckoned with if they stay healthy.
And what about you, Justin? What's your thoughts on Joe Shane and Brian Dable now being in charge of the New York Giants?
It's a good start, but they have to Saquon Barkley has to be healthy. And his only good year was his rookie year, and they didn't do a lot of helping. And the offensive line, they need to protect the quarterbacks. It wasn't all Jones's fault. I think it was like the offensive line. They need better offensive line because I can see like when Mike London was there, it's not their fault. It's just like the offensive line. And I think they need offensive line help in the offseason or in the draft. And Kadarius Toney, I like him on the Giants a lot. He just doesn't – I don't want to see him fight a lot against the Cowboys. But I just need him to, like, score touchdowns more next season with with Brian Daboll as his coach.
All right. So, anyways, now let's go to Minnesota and Brandon's hometown here. They hired a GM. I mean, earlier on Morning Tailgate, I had trouble pronouncing his name, but I have the name right in front of me. The Minnesota Vikings have hired Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah as their next GM, and they could be looking into Jim Harbaugh or DeMeco Ryans or amongst those lines. But I wonder with Kwesi now as the GM, and do you think that he goes with Jim Harbaugh, Big B, or does he go with DeMeco Ryans, or does he go with a young head coach?
Well, the report I saw earlier from the Sport Talk here in Minnesota is they got 3 finalists: Harbaugh, the offensive coordinator for the Buffalo Bills, and the defensive coordinator for the defensive coordinator for the 49ers. So
yeah, DeMeco Ryans.
Yeah. So to me, if you want to make a splash with the big name, you go Harbaugh, but it's going to cost you some because you have to pay Michigan $4 million to buy out the contract. if you want to go young, then you go with one of the offensive coordinator or one of the coordinators that are the finalists, and you roll the ball with that. So to me, I'm kind of 50-50. I'd like to see Harbaugh here because I think he is a good coach. But again, I kind of want to see them go young, old, or young football guy and bring in somebody, give them a shot, see what they can do. Because, our next question would be, what do we do with Kirk Cousins? What do we do with Cook? The Wolves have already come out and said that pretty much everybody not named Jefferson is open to talk. So we will see what goes there. I would guess that by this time next week, even probably Thursday, we have a new head coach.
And tell me your thoughts on Kwesi Alfredo-Manasseh as the new general manager.
He's between the two finalists they had. He's the analytics guy. He's a number cruncher. Poles was more old school, so I mean, he done a decent job with the Browns, got them to be relevant per se. So we'll see what he does. I mean, the whole regime is going to be new, so I think it's going to be a new, fresh look for the Vikings.
It is. And then, Justin, what's your thoughts on Kwesi Alfredo-Manasseh, the GM of the Vikings? And do you think it's going to be either Jim Harbaugh or DeMeco Ryans?
It's going to be Jim Harbaugh because he's done everything he could on Michigan. What he has in college football, because it's hard to win a title in college football.
Yep.
So I think he really wanted a job in the NFL, so I see him going to the Vikings. And yeah, I think he's going to do well in his second stint with the NFL.
It might happen, or he might get another contract extension with Michigan. So we'll see amongst those lines here. So. Anyways, let's go to South Florida right now as the Dolphins are conducting second interviews. Actually, they have one tomorrow with offensive coordinator of the San Francisco 49ers, Mike McDaniel, and they have another interview with Dallas Cowboys offensive coordinator Kellen Moore. Which of the two will be the next head coach of the Miami Dolphins and to work with Tua Tagovailoa? For me, I think either one would be good. But if I had to choose one, it should be Kellen Moore because former lefty quarterback, working with a current lefty quarterback, I think it would make sense.
But he
to
choked
have
in the
Kellen
playoffs
Moore as the offensive coordinator. If they go with Mike McDaniel, then I could really see Mike McDaniel designing the playbook that is more suited for Tua, West Coast based. I mean, he did well with Devo. I think Mike McDaniel could do well with Jalen Waddle, which I could see. So either one of these two would be good for the Miami Dolphins. But for me, it's going to be too close to call who I think is going to be the next head coach. It's going to be one of these two offensive minds that's going to be the next head coach of the Miami Dolphins. Big B, who do you want to see work with Tua in Miami, and who do you think is going to be the next head coach of the Miami Dolphins between Mike McDaniel and Kellen Moore?
Laura, I love how you put connections everywhere. Lefty quarterback this, lefty quarterback that. I love that about you. To me, you got to get somebody that could get Tua going. We saw spurts last year with Tua. Got to keep it going. So, to me, Dolphins have just got to do what is best for them and best quarterback coach that they can build around Tua, that offense, but still have a stellar defense. That's one thing that the Dolphins need. They still need to keep that defense because right now, until we see more consistency of Tua, that defense is going to be the face of that franchise. So I think their hire is going to be very crucial to get Tua going.
Yes, it's going to be one of these two offensive-minded head coaches. So, Justin, what's your thoughts on this? Which of these two will be the next head coach of the Dolphins to work with Tua? Do you choose Mike McDaniel or do you choose Kellen Moore? Because Mike McDaniel
I have Mike McDaniel because Kellen Moore, I didn't like his play calling during the Cowboys game. So I wouldn't want him as a head coach for franchise. because
So
he
why do
didn't do it.
you choose Mike McDaniel?
Because he actually made it to the NFC Championship game.
That could be a good
Where's Mike
hire. You're
McDaniel?
absolutely.
Where
Yeah,
did Mike McDaniels come from? Or it's coming from?
the Niners.
Oh, he's from the
Niners. Okay.
Kyle
Okay.
Shanahan tree. Like, here's the thing
Gotcha.
about it. If Mike McDaniel becomes the Dolphins head coach, it would be fun seeing him and Robert Saleh go head-to-head twice a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to put it out there because Saleh's coaching the Jets, and I think the Jets have a bright future with Robert Saleh as the head coach.
No. The Jets never have a bright future.
No, I think Saleh's the right coach. I think he
No, I
is.
know. No, but the Jets
Yeah,
never have a bright future.
We're at, that one's gonna have to play some time out because we just know how, it's kind of like the Detroit Lions. They got all these picks, and look what the Lions have done. Nothing. So I mean, Jets have seen spurts, have gotten into the playoffs more recent, but Jets got to see what's going to happen there. I honestly, realistically, I think the Jets' best thing would be kind of to move into their own stadium, kind of get a new identity, even maybe relocate out of New York. So
Who knows? So, anyways, with
Yeah,
that being said here, now let's go to the Raiders. So, I think if you look at Josh McDaniels, I think the second time is the charm for him to be a head coach.
He's a
I think
beast.
he's going to work well with Derek Carr. I think the Raiders will still be fine. Casey King also wanted to say that he said
yes, I wanted to comment on that.
He said stupid hire by the Raiders. McDaniels, he was awful in Denver as a head coach. Good coordinator, but not so good as a head coach. Rick Bisaccia got screwed, and typical Mark Davis, just like his daddy too, screw it up. And Casey, to your point here, I like Bisaccia, but I think that give McDaniels a shot. This is the second time as the charm. I think that Josh McDaniels, this will work out for him. You're thinking about too much in the past because
The cheating scandals, yeah.
Josh McDaniels forced Jay Cutler and Brandon Marshall out of Denver.
Tim Tebow
and that's what
stuff
made
like
him
that.
look bad. And then he started Tim Tebow. That did not work out for him in his tenure there. I think this time, now that he has Derek Carr to work with, I think it's going to work with
Tebow
McDaniels
did
as
work
the next
in
head
Denver,
coach,
though.
as the next head coach of the Raiders here. So, anyways, Big B, what is your thoughts on what's your thoughts on Josh McDaniels and Dave Ziegler being the next head coach? But before you go with that, I think Dave Ziegler is going to be a really good general manager too. But before you go here, I would have wanted to see Josh McDaniels in Houston. I think that would have been a better situation for him because he would work with Davis Mills. Nick Caserio knows him well, and I think that would have been a much better situation than in Vegas.
Yeah, I don't like Mark Davis.
That's going to be your key right there, and I think Justin said it. No matter who you got Mark Davis, sorry, who's just like his dad. Everybody has to answer to him. If he doesn't like something, he's going to change it. So first off, that's number one. Number two, I'm not saying Daniels is going to be the next great thing, but I mean, he was hired last year, the year before, to be a head coach somewhere, and turned it down
before the Super Bowl. After the Eagles Super Bowl, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know if I can trust him until I see him in the silver and black. I can't. Part of me is like, okay, is he going to turn back and go back to the Patriots? I don't know. Third with Casey's comment, saying that McDaniels was a horrible hire. If I remember right, Belichick, before he went to the Patriots, did nothing with the Browns and the Jets, I believe. And now everybody's considering him one of the greatest coaches ever. So I'm not saying McDaniels is Belichick, but you get in the right team with the right situation, you win, everything's forgotten in the past. So the comment to say Daniels is a bad coach, got to leave it in the past, and we'll see where it goes from there.
I think that McDaniels is going to work with Derek Carr, and I can't wait to see Josh McDaniels work with Derek Carr. Justin, what's your thoughts on Dave Ziegler and Josh McDaniels going to Las Vegas?
Yeah, I think KC King's probably mad because about the cheating scandals that went on in the Broncos and stuff like that. But for one thing, I think it's a good hire, and he can help Derek Carr out. Like Derek Carr needs an offensive mind to help him, and I think he'll be a good fit there. And we'll see what happens.
He would be a great fit there.
And in year one for him.
And question for you, Justin, since you're a Patriots fan, my take is that I think that Bill O'Brien is going to be coming back to the NFL, and I think he's going to be the offensive coordinator for the New England Patriots next season. Ooh. Who do you think is going to be the offensive coordinator for the Patriots? My pick is Bill O'Brien. What about you, Justin?
I like the Bill O'Brien hire, but I didn't like him losing the national championship game. Like in his calls.
None of this was on him. I mean, he did some really good work with Bryce Young, though.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good though, but I just don't like his calling because I remember in 2012 he was yelling at Brady one year.
Oh yeah, that's just the past. He's a good offensive coordinator, but he's an so-so head coach and all that. But Big B, would you agree with me about Bill O'Brien being the offensive coordinator for the Patriots? I really would like him back. I would welcome him back.
The thing with that is, does Belichick want a coach that is under him that's been a previous coach? You know, I mean, I know we talked about McDaniels being there and previous coach, but, you know, O'Brien's a semi-big name. I think they're going to keep it in-house. I think they're going to just promote within. You'll probably see the quarterback coach move up. Or
I'd like to see Troy Brown get the job.
It might not happen. Maybe Mick Lombardi, though, Justin. Don't rule out Mick Lombardi.
I mean, maybe even Justin Garrett gets a shot at offensive coordinator job at Belichick. You know,
maybe, I don't know.
I mean, it's too early to tell what they're thinking because that was just announced today that, you know, McDaniel's is going to the Raiders. So we'll see where they go. I think they'll promote within.
It's going to be on all Boston Sports News tomorrow.
Oh yeah, it's going to be on ESPN all day tomorrow.
Yeah.
Here comes Isaiah.
I want to welcome back Isaiah here. So tell us your thoughts real quick on Dave Ziegler and Josh McDaniels going to the Raiders. And do you think Bill O'Brien is going to be coming back to the Patriots as their offensive coordinator?
Well, first of all, until Josh McDaniels shows up at his press conference, I won't believe he's the head coach of the Raiders just because of what he did to the Colts. I mean, this dude, he's untrustable, man. You can't trust him. I mean, you signed the contract. I mean, he signed the contract with the Colts and then literally not even a day later backs out of it. I mean, who does it? The Colts announced him on their Twitter account as the new head coach. So I would not have hired him. I don't think that it's a good hire for the Raiders just because I think that if you're Mark Davis and you wanted to make a splash, I would have gone with Jim Harbaugh. I think Jim Harbaugh is a guy that he's a really good coach. He's a really good leader. And I don't understand why teams continue to do this. Why do they keep hiring from the Bill Belichick tree? It's failed numerous times over the years, and you keep just hiring from the Bill Belichick tree. I don't know why teams just wouldn't learn their lesson. I'm not saying that McDaniels can't coach. I just think that once they leave New England, they just are exposed as, you know, a product of Bill Belichick. And I know this is Josh McDaniels the second time around. Hopefully, you know, he has learned.
Second time's the charm, man.
It might be, but I mean, it better be for Josh McDaniels because if he fails this time around and does some of the stuff that he did with Denver, he's not going to get another head coaching job. So that's my thoughts on it. Is I just think they should have went with Jim Harbaugh. I think a Jim Harbaugh, Ed Dobbs, you know, pairing would have been better than a McDaniels, Ziegler.
Jim Harbaugh's overrated.
Just because I think that McDaniels, first of all, I don't really trust him, and secondly, I don't, you know, the coaches in the Bill Belichick tree just typically never do well. So
Brian Flores.
That's my overall thoughts on that.
He's the best
But
coach.
Isaiah, I mean,
all right. And
when
then
it comes
Isaiah,
to
my
the
other question for you is, do you think that the Patriots should bring back Bill O'Brien as their offensive coordinator?
Before I go to that, Big B, what were you about to say?
You know, you talk about the coaching tree for Bill Belichick. I mean, you know, all winning franchises have that coaching tree. I mean, they all start somewhere. I mean, the Niners, Bill Walsh, everybody came from Bill Walsh's coaching tree. Jimmy Johnson, when the Dallas was hot, everybody
Andy
came from
Reid's coaching
Dallas.
tree.
What's that?
Andy Reid's coaching tree.
Yeah, Andy Reid's coaching tree. So everybody tries goes to that winning team, be like, okay, they won there, let's bring them in here. Does it work out every time? No, but everybody's going to do it. I mean, you'll probably start seeing some people come off of Kansas City's coaching staff here in the next couple of years. Buffalo, you know, New England, or not New England. If Tampa Bay sticks around, you're going to see coaches go off to Tampa Bay. So it's going to happen.
Well, and also at Laurel, as far as your, Bill O'Brien question, I mean, if I'm the Patriots, I would do it just because of the familiarity with Belichick. Bill O'Brien wants to go back in the NFL. It just seems like a perfect fit.
Oh, it's going to be a great fit. I'm not worried about that at all. I really want Bill O'Brien back in New England now that McDaniels is gone. I'm going to miss him as a Patriots fan, but you know what? I am rooting for him to right the ship and make this be the second time as the charm for him as a head coach. And I think that he's in a better situation than he was in Denver, though. So, anyways, let's talk about the Jags. So, the question is, and this is for everybody out there, and I've been advocating for this before the show, is will the Jags fire Trent Baalke as their GM and go with the pairing of Byron Leftwich and Adrian Wilson? My answer to that is 100% yes. Trent Baalke should not be a GM ever again in the NFL because he is stupid with head coaches. He doesn't know how to build winning teams. He hasn't really drafted well, and he screwed up with the Niners, especially getting rid of Jim Harbaugh way too soon. And anyways, Isaiah, I'm going to start with you on this one. Do you think the Jaguars should do this? Should they fire Trent Baalke? Do they and then go with Leftwich and Adrian Wilson? I think that would be a much better pairing in Jacksonville than Baalke. And I'll tell you what, I am wanting Shad Khan to do this. If he does this, then I would want to like protest in front of Everbank Field in my clown costume and my clown nose to show Shad Khan my feelings about this organization, and that I'm really wanting Trevor Lawrence to take the next step in his game next year. And I'm actually, if the Jaguars make the right hires this offseason, Isaiah, I am ready to go out on a limb with the Jags if they do the right things this offseason.
Well, your question, Laurel, is should the Jags do that? Yes, they should, because like you said, Trent Baalke's a terrible GM. The guy was in San Francisco and he was an unmitigated disaster. He was a backstabber. He always, whenever he didn't get along with coaches, he would always leak to his media friends all the bad stuff about that various coach. And also the fact is that he just never drafted well. He always drafts injured players for the 49ers, and he's doing the same thing with the Jacksonville Jaguars. So I've never trusted him to begin with. He should not be a GM in the NFL as far as I'm concerned. They should do it because I think Byron Leftwich is a hell of an offensive coach and a really good quarterback developer, and he would help Trevor Lawrence immensely. And Adrian Wilson would definitely be a monster upgrade over Trent Baalke. But will the Jags do it? No, I don't think Shad Khan would do it. Here's why. Because these talks with Byron Leftwich has supposedly been going on for the last week and a half. I mean, they zeroed in on him as their coach, I believe, on Wednesday, and a deal still hasn't been done. Now you hear information that, Vic Fangio got interviewed, and also Kevin O'Connell is going to be interviewing with the Jags. So it just seems like that if they hadn't gotten a deal done by now, that is probably not going to happen, and that the talks are probably dead at this point. So knowing Shad Khan, he loves Trent Baalke. I don't know why he loves Trent Baalke, but he somehow, someway loves Trent Baalke. So I think he's definitely going to keep him. It's a terrible decision, but Shad Khan, I don't know why.
Let me say this real quick. Trent Baalke's a puppet in Jacksonville now with Shad Khan. I mean, Shad Khan is just too obsessed with him. And that's why Shad Khan, to me, is one of the worst. Shad Khan is one of the worst owners in the NFL. I gave you my top 5 list of worst owners, and one of them, and Shad Khan is on my list there. So, anyways.
Right. Before you go on, let me just say that I fully, like I told you, I think on Wild Sports Talk the other day, I fully anticipate that Vic Fangio will be the next head coach of the Jaguars, primarily because that, with Khan sticking with Baalke, Baalke's going to want his own guy. He's got a previous relationship with Fangio, having worked with him in San Francisco. Plus, Fangio's desperate for a head coaching job because nobody's going to give him a head coaching job after what happened in Denver. So I really anticipate that, and I would be shocked if Fangio is not the next coach. I think the Leftwich talks are dead. It's a shame, but I mean, it is what it is.
It might not be dead yet, Isaiah. He probably is going to get another interview with the Jags, I think. But my other question for you is, do you think that the Rams should go? Do you think that the Jags should go with Kevin O'Connell if Leftwich doesn't work out? I think O'Connell would be a decent hire.
I think it would be, but here's the thing. He doesn't have any prior relationship with Trent Baalke, and I think Trent Baalke wants his guy and a guy that he has a relationship with. So Fangio would basically be like a puppet. It's like kind of like Chip Kelly in San Francisco. Chip Kelly was desperate for an NFL head coaching job. He went into San Francisco to work with Trent Baalke, and he basically did what Baalke wanted and what Baalke told him to, so he didn't upset Baalke. It was basically Baalke coaching from above, and it was a damn shame that it's what ended up happening.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that could be a possible hire there, Isaiah. But I think if Vic Fangio's the head coach, he needs to hire an offensive coordinator to work with Trevor Lawrence.
Why not hire Kevin O'Connell? Because he doesn't call plays right now with the Rams. It would be an upgrade, and I think that Fangio. Yeah, you definitely need – this is probably – if you get another head coaching job, it's going to be your second one. You're probably your last one. So you need to ace this one. So if I'm Fangio, I would hire the best coordinator there, no matter if I like his offensive style or not.
Absolutely. And Big B, what's your thoughts on this? Do you think that they should go with do you think that they should fire Trent Baalke as the general manager for the Jags?
I mean, I guess I got to go back and look, to see how long he's been in the Jags organization, see what they've done with him as GM before I make that decision. I read a report after Leftwich's first interview stating that there was claims that he wanted Baalke fired before he would take the job, and he wanted to name or be in the talks with the new GM. So I don't think that set well with the ownership. My question to Isaiah before I keep going, he said that Leftwich was good at building quarterbacks. Name me a quarterback Leftwich has built.
Jameis Winston.
Oh, yeah, he really built him up. 40 for 40.
Well,
so
he had career numbers, though. He did have career numbers, minus the picks.
Well, you gotta take the picks with it. He had high pick ratio. So, and Winston was there before Leftwich was there. But anyways, so I think Leftwich is out as a Jags coach, even though I thought he'd be a good fit there. But if he's making demands already, I think that doesn't sit well with ownership. Fangio, I think, would be a good fit there. Again, if he gets an offensive coordinator to help build the Jags. But again, we'll see where it goes. I really think the next coaching job to be filled is going to be Minnesota's. and then I think they're going to kind of fall a domino effect after that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Justin, what's your thoughts on this? Do they fire? Do you think that they fire Trent Baalke? Do they go with Byron Leftwich and Adrian Wilson?
No,
If I were Sean
I don't
Khan, I would
see-
do this.
I don't see Byron Leftwich going there, and the Jaguars almost made it to the Super Bowl 3 years ago. And they've fallen rock bottom all the way down, and I see them not they need to go upwards and forwards because this ownership group is not doing their job. They need to find the right man for the job, and if that's Byron Leftwich, then it is. But I see a different coach, a random coach, coaching that team. Like it could be any coach, and I see it the same result with the same GM if they don't fire him.
Laura,
All
who's
right.
the name you're tying with? Who's the name you're tying with? Leftwich.
What's that?
Who's the guy you're tying to Leftwich? You know, if he takes the coaching job, the GM with Leftwich. Who?
Adrian Wilson, the Cardinals executive.
Oh, okay. That's why I haven't heard the name. Okay, I was just wondering who that was because that name didn't ring a bell to me. I got you.
All right, folks. So, with that being said, it was a great show, and can't wait for next Sunday's show because we are actually going to be talking about the Super Bowl next Sunday, and we're also going to be talking about more about the coaching carousel. But next Sunday is going to be all about the Super Bowl. I'm looking
Joe
forward to making
Burrow, he's gonna win a Super Bowl.
our picks next week. And don't forget to join us next Sunday for a special extra point show next Sunday, as the team and myself will be previewing Super Bowl 56 between the Rams and the Bengals. We'll tell you who's going to be winning that. So, and we'll go from there. So, Isaiah, what are your final thoughts on this show tonight?
My final thoughts is that I'm so glad that we did a show tonight because it was a tough loss for my Niners. It was heartbreaking. It was gut-wrenching. It was all of the above. And I'm really glad that, I was able to – well, first of all, I'm glad that I made the decision to go into work and not call in just to watch the game. I'm so glad that I made that decision because work really took my mind off of, this stinging loss. But, glad to be on the show, glad to have the show tonight so that I could release some steam out. I know that I'll be releasing more steam tomorrow when me, you, Loro, and Callan will actually be back for Wild Sports Talk. So I'm not looking forward to that. But it's going to be a great show. But,
tell us what time the show will be tomorrow.
Wait, what?
What time will be Wild Sports Talk tomorrow?
We haven't. I think it's going to be around 9:30. Since I'll be off. I'm not working tomorrow, so that's good. But I want to thank Casey King, Amia Hobbs. Let's see, Christy Wilson, for all tuning in tonight. We really appreciate you guys. And keep watching both MI6 and Coast to Coast for some great content. We got a lot of great shows coming up for both networks, and I'm hoping that Vic Fangio gets hired by the Jags so that I can pick the Jags to win the AFC South yet again next season.
I'm with you on that, Isaiah. I want to see the Jags win the AFC South because of Trevor Lawrence, and I think they're going to continue developing him, and I think that if it's Vic Fangio, then they're going to have to nail the offensive staff. That's for sure. So, Big B, what are your final thoughts?
I just want to thank everybody for tuning in, and thanks Loro and Isaiah, Justin for letting me on. I didn't plan on staying as long as I did, but you guys had some good topics, had some good input. Keep checking out Coast to Coast, morning tailgate on Sunday. We're kind of going to do a football trivia show, probably talk a little bit about the playoff recap, and then preview a little bit of the Super Bowl. We're going to focus a little. Pro Bowl, we'll do the Pro Bowl too, probably, and do a little early predictions on the Super Bowl. But with that being said, I just want to thank everybody and just keep checking out both networks.
So
And what's your
Loro,
final thoughts, Justin?
my final thoughts is Loro, it was great games this week. 2 epic battles, the AFC and FC. I've never seen that in a few years. Like 2 epic games, like
Yes.
back to back. And I hope Mac Jones this week wins MVP in the Pro Bowl. Like he deserves
That's
it.
a good take there.
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
anyways, folks, we'll see you all next Sunday. For Isaiah, for Big B, Justin, Stephen Wang, our producer, Lauro signing off for now. Have a great night. Talk to you all next Sunday to preview Super Bowl 56. Until then, have a great rest of your Sunday night, everyone.
Yeah. I ain't choose the game chose me. I'm a champion, I need some trophies. I can draw the lane, I can shoot the three. I can run 100 yards, I can throw it deep. I ain't choose the game chose me. I'm a champion, I need some trophies. I can draw the lane, I can shoot the three. I can run 100 yards, I can throw it deep.
I got what it take to be a champ. You know bars life, you should come and join the camp. Title after title, put my rivals off the map. Thought you had the trophy till I came in for the snatch. I was born in it, not sworn in it. I ain't come to play, my wrist mean all business. Running like I'm Mimic, check my jersey, all authentic. In Oakland with some Raiders, till my haters deal with it. I'm in the field with it. Stop playing.
I ain't choose the game chose me. I'm a champion, I need
Loro. What's that song at the end?
Oh, I'm not sure what that is, man. Hold on just a minute. Just have to end this recording.